The finger extended forward, pressing into the wind and rain summoning realm, creating a massive concave shape that delved deeper, causing the realm to tremble violently. Within it, the milky aura surged wildly, attempting to counteract the power of the finger. Wang Lin quickly retreated, his mind sharply attuned to the fact that this wind and rain summoning realm could not hold much longer. In this dire moment, a frenzied look appeared in his eyes. He swung his right hand, and a storage rift exploded into existence before him. The moment the storage rift appeared, the wind and rain summoning realm rapidly contracted and completely entered Wang Lin's body, allowing the finger to surge forward unimpeded, heading straight for the mark on Wang Lin's forehead. However, at that instant, as a low growl escaped Wang Lin's lips, the enormous ancient god finger bone erupted from the storage rift, standing guard before him. The finger, white as jade, pressed directly onto the ancient god finger bone, its booming impact resonating violently, causing the surrounding starry sky to shake. Wang Lin coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood as he and the ancient god finger bone were forced back. An invisible light pierced through the ancient god finger bone, shooting through Wang Lin's chest, bringing forth a cloud of blood mist that exited from his back. At the moment the jade-white finger collided with the ancient god finger bone, it paused as if enduring a tremendous force, turning instantly translucent as if on the verge of vanishing. A sharp pain surged through him. If it had been anyone else, the first instinct would have surely been to flee. But not Wang Lin. Ignoring the agonizing pain, his expression fierce, as the finger hesitated, he immediately raised his right hand, blood light gathering swiftly, transforming into a blood sword which he swung fiercely at the halted finger. The blood sword glimmered as it struck the finger. As it approached, the arm lifted to snatch the blood sword, but, upon contact, the blood sword penetrated through the arm and executed a clean cut. A faint, delicate groan echoed as the arm split into two, suddenly dissipating into the fabric of existence, as if it had never been there at all. The jade pendant before the white-clad woman burst apart, shattering into countless fragments. The white-clad woman turned pale, spitting out another mouthful of blood, and retreated hastily, merging with the surrounding elements to escape. You can't escape. Wang Lin's chest was a bloody mess, blood coursing down. Although the pressure from that one finger was stifled by the light and shadow shield, the wind and rain summoning realm, and the ancient god finger bone, it still managed to seep through slightly, piercing through Wang Lin's chest. For an ordinary cultivator, this strike would mean severe injury, if not death. Yet, as an ancient god, Wang Lin possessed formidable regenerative abilities, and within moments, signs of healing began to appear on his wound. Just as the white-clad woman tried to flee, Wang Lin stowed away all his artifacts and stepped forward in pursuit. Tracking the ripples caused by the white-clad woman's departure, Wang Lin swayed and blended with the world, following the residual force of those ripples as he chased after her. This scene was entirely opposed to their previous encounters. Instead of being hunted, the white-clad woman was now fleeing in panic, while Wang Lin pursued her with ferocity. This woman's cultivation is peculiar. Though it resembles a projection clone, it possesses flesh and blood, truly existing as a corporeal being. If that's the case, she must be eliminated. If I don't strike while she's gravely injured, I'll surely face incessant troubles in the future. There's definitely a secret about this woman. The divine arts she just displayed clearly summoned her true power. Were it not for the formidable strength from my blue silk clan techniques, this battle would undoubtedly lead to my demise. She's far too familiar with the ancient starry sky. I need to kill her quickly. Otherwise, if she escapes to a place I can't pursue, all my efforts would be in vain. As he chased her, Wang Lin continuously merged with the world, crazily pursuing within the ancient starry sky. Within the depths of the ancient starry sky, in one expanse of the cosmos, ripples echoed as the white-clad woman staggered out, a rare look of panic flashing across her face. She prepared to teleport away in an instant. But suddenly, her expression altered, and gritting her teeth, she refrained from teleporting further. Instead, she continued to merge with the world, hastily fleeing. At that moment of departure, cosmic ripples manifested around her, and Wang Lin's figure flickered within them. He didn't reveal himself, but instead subtly stepped forward and vanished once more. The two's pursuit was extremely brief, less than the flicker of incense, having intersected several times, with the intervals growing ever shorter. The anxiety gnawing at the white-clad woman surged as Wang Lin's relentless pursuit weighed heavily upon her. Previously, such pressure would have been impossible, but now her anxiety escalated tremendously. A few more teleports, and I'll be safe. Only 3 more. The white-clad woman appeared in a stretch of the cosmos, her face pale. The moment she intended to teleport away, ripples formed beneath her feet, shaking the very fabric of reality. Amidst the thunderous eruptions, boundless lightning surged wildly, crafting a massive vortex around her, disrupting the elemental forces of the world and severing her escape. Her expression changed dramatically as Wang Lin stepped out from the void, his face cold and grim. Without a word, he waved his right hand. In an instant, clouds and mist surged across the starry sky, once again forming heaven and earth, manifesting the heaven-flipping seal. The world reversed and folded in on itself, thunder booming as the heavens collapsed. The woman in white, caught within this realm, spat blood and staggered back. But just as she retreated, a flash of blood-red light flared behind her, piercing straight through her back. With a scream, her white robes were soaked in blood. Her body twisted unnaturally, and in those distortions, countless flickering scenes began to emerge. Within those images, a woman knelt on the ground. From the void before her, a pale jade hand reached out and pressed against her brow. But only for a moment. The scene shattered, and a thick milky aura erupted from the crown of her head. It was nearly tangible, and within it shimmered a faint golden thread. Wang Lin instantly recognized this milky aura. It was the devotional power of a disciple. But the density of this woman's devotional power stunned him. The incense offering of just this one woman was nearly equivalent to 30% of what existed in his entire wind and rain summoning realm. The milky aura engulfed her head. The bloody wound caused by the blood sword stopped bleeding in an instant. As her body rapidly retreated, wrapped in the aura, she ignored the chaotic surge of surrounding primordial energy and, in a flash, dissolved back into the heavens and vanished. If this woman could become a soul within my wind and rain summoning realm, Wang Lin's heart pounded. Just as the woman disappeared, his figure flickered and vanished as well, pursuing her at once. Within the ancient star of antiquity, in the northwestern star domain, there was a cultivation star that belonged to the Scorpion Demon clan. Though not a major force within the ancient star, their brutality was notorious. At that moment, outside one such cultivation star in the Scorpion Demon clan's domain, ripples spread through the starry sky as the woman in white emerged, weakened and staggering, blood dripping from the corner of her lips. Without hesitation, she prepared to shift away once more. 2 more times, just 2 more, and I'll be safe. But as she was about to perform another spatial shift, a streak of blood-red light erupted from the void and shot straight toward her brow. The killing intent was overwhelming. The blood sword was too fast. She had no time to dodge or shift. In this moment of crisis, the milky aura atop her head burst forth, shielding her just as the sword struck. The sword pierced through the aura, but its trajectory was altered, slicing through her right shoulder instead. With a scream, she staggered back, her gaze venomous. Her right arm hung limp, useless. At that moment, Wang Lin once again stepped out from the void. He reached out with a clawing motion. "Where do you think you're going?" He was just about to seize her when she bit her tongue and spat a mouthful of blood. It merged with the milky aura surrounding her, unleashing a thunderous explosion that sent a shockwave ripping through the air. Under that force, her body was flung away, narrowly avoiding Wang Lin's grasp, plummeting toward the cultivation star below. At the same time, she let out a shrill, piercing scream. "Where is the Scorpion Demon clan? I am one of Orchid Consort's clones. I order you to stop this man at once." The moment her voice echoed out, powerful auras erupted from the cultivation star below. In the blink of an eye, thousands of cultivators shot up into the sky. Without hesitation, they charged toward Wang Lin to block his path. Taking this chance, the woman in white swallowed a medicinal pill, glared back with hatred, and prepared to shift again. But how could Wang Lin let her escape? With a wave of his right hand, his body swelled with terrifying speed. In an instant, he transformed into his thousand-zhang ancient god true form and charged forward. His right hand clenched into a fist, bypassing the crowd to strike viciously at the void ahead. The heavens trembled. The starry sky seemed ready to shatter. A massive rift suddenly tore open, stretching outward with a harsh screech as if the cosmos itself was being split apart. The moment the rift appeared, the woman in white, who had merged with the heavens, was forcibly torn back into view. Her face turned pale as she reeled backward. Wang Lin barreled forward. Countless divine arts and magical treasures struck out from the thousands of cultivators, but he didn't spare them a glance. As he advanced, all things in heaven and earth seemed to converge. A brilliant light burst from his thousand-zhang form, manifesting as light shadows around him. The instant the spells and treasures struck the light shadows, they were violently reflected back. Bathed in this reflected power, Wang Lin appeared like a colossal being of light. Screams echoed around him as the cultivators were wounded by their own spells, some even obliterated under the sheer force of his charge. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin had closed the distance. He raised his right hand and, with a thunderous punch, struck at the retreating woman in white. At this moment, in the eyes of the woman in white, it felt as though all that remained in this world was herself and the thousand-zhang tall figure of light. That incoming fist, nothing and no one could stop it for her. In this life-threatening moment, her entire body erupted with even more milky aura. Just as Wang Lin's fist approached, the milky aura surged madly into her third eye. There, where her forehead had once been smooth and unremarkable, a mark suddenly appeared. It was a river-shaped mark, radiating three colored lights, red, yellow, and blue. The instant it appeared, a long-forgotten memory surfaced in her mind. In that memory, she knelt on the ground, chosen as the holy maiden of the river clan. On the day she received her inheritance, a hand as white as jade manifested from the void before her. That hand carried a gentle warmth. With a single stroke on her forehead, it erased her clan's mark. From this day forth, you shall be one of my avatars. Your body will nourish my projection, aiding in my healing. You shall also become my devotional disciple. This memory flashed through her mind, but there was no time to process it. The moment the mark appeared, the milky aura around her suddenly transformed into a vortex. With a thunderous roar, it collided directly with Wang Lin's incoming fist. A deafening boom echoed as the starry sky quaked. The woman in white coughed up blood, her face drained of color. Her body was thrown through the air, but just as she was flung away, the milky aura enveloped her, tearing through all barriers and merging her into the heavens and earth. Wang Lin's right hand went numb from the impact, and a strange gleam flashed in his eyes. As the woman in white vanished, he took a single step forward and disappeared into the starry sky as well. With his departure, all light in the starry sky faded, leaving behind only a field of corpses and stunned scorpion demon clan cultivators. Far to the east of the ancient star of antiquity, space twisted in the void. The milky aura reappeared, carrying the woman in white within it. She was utterly exhausted, like a dying flame. Without hesitation, she took her final step forward. One last spatial shift. If I make it there, I'll be saved. But just as her right foot landed, the heavens rumbled. A low, distant roar echoed faintly. The stars quivered, and from every direction, blood-red light surged forth, transforming into countless blades that tore through the void, all stabbing madly toward her. She didn't even spare them a glance. Her gaze remained locked on Wang Lin, who was rapidly closing in through the starry sky. Her eyes shimmered with venom and mockery. As the myriad blood swords pierced toward her, her body began to fade, turning transparent. The swords passed through her harmlessly, unable to touch her. This time, I'll let you go. But next time, you'll die without a doubt. Preserve the divine essence in your body. It won't be long before we meet again. Her voice rang out, icy and emotionless, just as her body was about to fully vanish. But in reply came Wang Lin's raised index finger, and a voice even colder than hers. Immobilization technique. The heavens and earth froze in an instant. Even the woman in white, now nearly invisible, was halted mid-disappearance. The icy ridicule in her eyes was still frozen there. All of creation paused. In that stillness, Wang Lin appeared in a flash, his right hand reaching forward. His eyes spun with the 5 fundamental origins, channeling a stream of primordial force into his hand. With that, he broke through all resistance. Amid surging waves of distortion, his hand grasped her transparent form and yanked hard, dragging her forcibly out of the void. "I told you, you can't escape." Holding the woman in white, the immobilization technique dissolved. Her body solidified once more, and disbelief and terror flooded her eyes. Wang Lin's body had returned to its normal size. With his right hand gripping her tightly, his left hand pressed against her crown, ready to perform a soul search. But just then, a torrent of milky aura burst from her body, not to attack Wang Lin, but to self-destruct her entirely. There wasn't enough time to search her soul, and Wang Lin wasn't willing to lose her spirit. As the milky aura was about to annihilate her, his right hand flashed crimson. The blood sword shot out, piercing her crown and shattering her essence spirit before the milky aura could do so. This act was akin to soul snatching from reincarnation, seizing devotional power as Orchid Consort once had. At the moment her body trembled and death overtook her, a woman's soul appeared inside Wang Lin's wind and rain summoning realm. A vast surge of devotional power erupted from her soul and was absorbed by Wang Lin. Once she died, her body melted into a pool of blood. But then, a golden thread flashed from the remains, darting toward the void. That golden thread was none other than the projection clone of Orchid Consort, one of the 8 ancient consorts, nurtured within the woman in white. Now that the host had perished, the golden thread sought to pierce through the void and return to the wounded Orchid Consort. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head, and with a flash of the blood sword in his hand, he slashed directly at the golden thread. But strangely, the invincible blood sword actually passed through the golden thread without causing the slightest damage to it. The golden thread seemed not to be of this world's essence, intangible, as if it were not a physical entity. No divine arts or magical treasures could harm it. As the golden thread flew farther and farther, it was about to disappear. At that moment, Wang Lin's mind trembled. His storage rift unexpectedly opened uncontrollably, and from it, a woman stepped out. She was dressed in silver, and it was the silver corpse. She eerily emerged from the storage rift, staring at the golden thread that was gradually drifting away, her expression showing deep confusion. As the golden thread tore through the void and was about to vanish, the silver corpse lightly raised her right hand and casually reached out toward the void. The starry sky rumbled. The golden thread that had vanished into the void seemed to reverse time, reappearing from the disappearance, struggling but rapidly approaching the silver corpse. With a swift motion, she grasped it in her hand. The moment the golden thread landed in her hand, it trembled violently, as if in great fear, unwilling to struggle. The silver corpse silently stared at the golden thread in her hand. After a long while, her eyes still filled with confusion, she gently squeezed it. With that squeeze, the golden thread immediately shattered with a loud boom, transforming into a golden mist that entered the silver corpse's 7 orifices, as if being devoured. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes as he observed the scene before him. He had long suspected the identity of the silver corpse, but there were too few clues to confirm it. However, from the way Waterpath Master had changed his expression and revealed fear after seeing the silver corpse in the storage rift years ago, Wang Lin knew that her identity was no ordinary one. How could such a person become a body refined by the Cultivation Alliance? How did the Cultivation Alliance even get her? Wang Lin studied the familiar silver corpse. Her eyes still showed confusion as she stared into the distance, lost in thought. "Do you remember who you are?" After a long pause, Wang Lin spoke softly. The silver corpse remained silent, looking back at Wang Lin, her expression more confused than ever. She shook her head gently. "I just felt that the aura of that golden thread was very familiar." Wang Lin's gaze subtly flickered as he carefully examined the silver corpse, and suddenly said, "Could you be one of the ancient 8 consorts?" As he spoke, his eyes shot out like lightning, staring directly at her. Upon hearing the words, "ancient 8 consorts," the confusion in her eyes deepened. She whispered, "I have no memory. Ever since I woke up, I've been unable to recall anything." A painful look appeared on her face. She shook her head and turned, walking toward the storage rift. It seemed that only there could she escape thoughts about herself, quietly sitting in meditation. But just as she was about to enter the rift, the silver corpse stopped. A faint clarity began to emerge in her confused eyes. After a brief hesitation, she turned back and looked at Wang Lin. "Although I can't remember much, I have an unsettling sense that I know something. I can tell that you possess some disciples' devotional power. I vaguely remember that devotional power is a kind of poison, a huge scam. I seem to have lost everything because of it." As the silver corpse entered the storage rift, it contracted and disappeared into the starry sky. However, her words stirred a storm in Wang Lin's heart, causing his eyes to shine brightly. From what he had learned from the Lord of the Sealed Realm, from his battle with Waterpath Master, and from the words of the Blue Dream Tao Sovereign, it was clear that the disciples' devotional power was the key to reaching the third step, the vital source for nourishing the origin. Gradually, Wang Lin himself began to hold this belief. But now, the silver corpse's words were in stark contrast. Without warning, a chill ran down Wang Lin's spine. He looked up at the starry sky, his mind in deep thought. Poison scam. After a brief contemplation, Wang Lin's body flickered, merging into the world. The white-clad woman is dead and has become a soul within my wind and rain summoning realm. For now, no one should notice me in this ancient starry sky. This gives me the opportunity to fully develop my origin. Wang Lin merged with the world, his divine sense spreading. According to the memories of the outer realm cultivator I devoured, there are no third-step cultivators within the Lightning Thunder clan. But within their clan, there is a lightning bolt that seems to have existed since the dawn of creation. This lightning never fades after millions of years, continuously running through the world. It is the sacred artifact of the Lightning Thunder clan and the source of their power. If I devour this lightning, it should help evolve my origin of thunder. As for the disciples' devotional power, who among them is telling the truth? Wang Lin, using the shrinking earth technique, appeared in an unfamiliar star domain. His eyes flashed with cold light. Regardless of its truth, this matter requires extreme caution. Throughout my life in cultivation, I have never relied on any disciple's devotional power. Everything I have achieved is based solely on my own understanding of the changes in the Tao. Even the origin source, I comprehended it on my own, never depending on so-called devotional offerings. Wang Lin's body once again merged with the world, rushing towards the location of the Lightning Thunder clan from his memory. The star domain of the Lightning Thunder clan appeared like a vast thunder pool from a distance, its thunderous roars shaking the heavens. Even from a great distance, one could clearly hear the eternal thunderous sound that resonated through the world. This thunderous sound forced all fierce beasts and cultivators in the starry sky to avoid the area. If an outsider were to approach without holding the Lightning Thunder clan's token, they would immediately be attacked by the thunder pool. Millions, even tens of millions of thunderbolts would strike simultaneously, causing an earth-shattering power. This was one of the reasons why the Lightning Thunder clan, despite lacking a third-step cultivator, could still be considered one of the great clans of the ancient starry sky. The Lightning Thunder clan also had a glorious past. Countless years ago, they even became one of the clans capable of leaving behind magical artifacts within the Sealed Realm Grand Array. Within the Lightning Thunder clan, there existed a thunderbolt that never dispersed, an eternal presence that originated from the void and emitted thunderous rumbles at all times. The place where this lightning resided was constructed into a temple by the clan, dedicated to venerating the thunder. This temple stood in a forbidden area of the Lightning Thunder clan, heavily guarded and difficult for ordinary clan members to enter. Generations of elders guarded it, and though there were no third-step cultivators, there was one person who had reached the fifth decay of heaven and man, becoming the strongest beneath the third-step cultivators. For Wang Lin, the Lightning Thunder clan was like an impregnable fortress. Within it were many powerful cultivators, similar to the ancient Symbol clan, capable of causing chaos within the realm with their clan's power. All the members of the Lightning Thunder clan practiced the Thunder Tao arts. They believed that the thunder was divided into 6 paths, and if one could cultivate them all, They could break open the heavens and inherit the eternal thunder, gaining the origin of thunder and ascending into the four realms of nirvana and void. However, since ancient times, only a very few could step into the four realms of nirvana and void. Throughout countless generations, only during the clan's most glorious period had one person managed to reach the third step, great power. Though this was the case, without third step cultivation, attempting to force one's way into the Lightning Thunder clan was as difficult as reaching the heavens. Wang Lin stood calmly outside the Lightning Thunder clan's star domain. Ahead of him, about 100 miles away, lay the clan's boundary. Within it, thunder rumbled and transformed into the thunder pool. Lightning intertwined like silver serpents dancing wildly. At first glance, the sight was enough to shake the minds of most cultivators, making them hesitant to step forward beneath the thunderous skies. This place was many times more powerful than the thunder pool Wang Lin encountered in Luotian. Even before getting close, he could clearly feel the hairs on his body being drawn to the magnetic force, swaying left and right. Even the starry sky outside the thunder pool star domain was filled with the power of thunder, with sparks of lightning occasionally bursting forth. If it were back in Luotian, even with Wang Lin having consumed the ancient thunder dragon and possessing the thunder primordial spirit, he would still find it extremely difficult to enter this realm of thunder. It was highly likely he would be repelled during his attempt. If he tried to force his way in, the thunder alone would be enough to obliterate him, without the Lightning Thunder clan needing to lift a finger. But now, after absorbing the thunder power from the Lightning Thunder clan statues in the seven-colored realm, swallowing the Tao fruit, and later gaining the origin of thunder in a life-or-death crisis, Wang Lin's control over thunder had reached a terrifying level. He silently gazed ahead, and after a long moment, his body shifted forward, slowly entering the Lightning Thunder clan's star domain. There were no guards outside the clan, for the vast, eternal thunder pool itself served as the most powerful formation. Wang Lin moved slowly, his arrival unnoticed by the Lightning Thunder clan. The 100-mile distance took him half an incense stick's time to cross. Each step he took caused his body to shiver as strands of thunder power emanated from him, enveloping every pore in a cloak of energy. His mind was calm, neither joy nor sorrow. He felt as though he had entered a state of ethereal clarity. In his eyes, there was no Lightning Thunder clan, only the boundless thunder domain, with an indomitable thunderbolt falling from the time of the primordial creation. Having crossed the distance, the moment Wang Lin stepped into the boundary of the thunder pool, the vast thunder pool trembled violently. Thunderous roars reverberated endlessly, and the entire area before Wang Lin was replaced by flashes of lightning, illuminating the surrounding starry sky, making it appear as bright as daylight. The lightning surged through the thunder pool like silver dragons, encircling Wang Lin and releasing a deafening roar. As his left foot touched the thunder pool, half of his body was already submerged in it. The endless silver lightning serpents arrived in an instant, heading straight for his left foot. As they surrounded it, they spread throughout his entire body. At that moment, if it had been anyone else, the thunder would have instantly torn their flesh apart, and their essence spirit would have been obliterated by the uncontainable force of the lightning. Even the storage space would shatter under this thunder, rendering all magic treasures useless. Wang Lin closed his eyes, his entire body enveloped by lightning. The bolts of lightning and thunder from the thunder pool were like a massive mouth, swallowing him whole. His body was surrounded by endless arcs of thunder. The sounds of thunder echoed constantly, shaking the heavens and earth. Wang Lin stood motionless, maintaining the posture of having one foot just stepping into the thunder pool as time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, an incense stick burned down. At that instant, the immense thunder pool seemed to rise and fall like waves, with thunder roaring loudly. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. A lightning mark flickered rapidly in his right eye, flashing thousands of times in a split second. Each flicker intensified the roar of the thunder around him. In an instant, the entire world was replaced by the booming of thunder. Wang Lin stepped forward, fully entering the Lightning Thunder clan's lightning domain. As he stepped in, the thunder pool of the Lightning Thunder clan erupted with a violent roar, and countless silver lightning serpents frantically slithered around. Wang Lin walked slowly forward, and with each step, the lightning beneath his feet seemed to cheer, rapidly merging into his body, making him feel as if he had become a thunder immortal. The thunder entered his body and surged toward his right eye, where the lightning mark in his pupil grew clearer and clearer. He didn't know how much time had passed, but Wang Lin had already entered the deepest part of the Lightning Thunder Clan's thunder pool. The thunder here was even more intense. The sound of the roaring thunder shook the heavens and earth. Lightning filled the air, forming webs of electricity everywhere. In this place, divine sense couldn't penetrate, and vision would be torn apart. Wang Lin sat cross-legged, silently breathing. His body became filled with more and more thunder. Lightning from all directions gathered violently, stirring up the thunder pool under the increasingly intense rumbling. Gradually, Wang Lin's presence seemed to vanish completely. Though he sat cross-legged, if someone closed their eyes in front of him, they wouldn't detect his presence at all. At this moment, Wang Lin had already become a flash of lightning, merging completely with the thunder pool, indistinguishable from one another. After a long time, a lightning mark shot out from Wang Lin's closed right eye, so fast it instantly merged with the thunder pool and moved toward the distance. This lightning mark appeared to be an ordinary bolt of lightning, but as it traveled, all the thunder in the pool had to part for it, guiding its direction, causing the speed of the lightning to increase. It seemed that the endless thunder pool was a massive ring. In the deepest part, there was an area with no lightning. Here, 16 cultivation stars hung in the sky. From afar, these cultivation stars glowed with electric light, like thunder stars formed by condensed lightning. They were arranged in a circle, and at the center of this circle floated a shattered landmass. The broken pieces of this land seemed to have been violently torn from a complete continent, with irregular shapes and countless floating debris at its edges. This shattered land was pitch black, devoid of any vitality. But every member of the Lightning Thunder Clan knew from childhood that this land was their holy ground. On this land stood a massive temple. A bolt of lightning descending from the void struck the temple, and for countless millennia, this strike had never ceased. The lightning was pitch black, but if one looked carefully, they could see that it contained a variety of colors, intertwining to form thunder. At this moment, on one of the 16 cultivation stars, a yellowish-brown planet covered in thunder, countless caves had been carved out. There were thousands upon thousands of these caves, large and small. They were the places where every adult member of the Lightning Thunder Clan would cultivate. Once a person reached adulthood and attained a certain cultivation level, they would leave one of the 3 mother stars and venture to one of the remaining 13 cultivation stars. There, they would either find a cave, inherit a legacy, create their own, or seize one from another. Members of the clan could engage in internal battles, but death fights were forbidden. If a death occurred, severe punishment would follow. However, as long as one didn't die, everything else was permissible. This system fostered the growth of exceptional individuals in a harsh environment of internal strife. The weak would be eliminated. At this moment, on the yellowish cultivation star, a young man in black clothes, his chest mangled and bloody, walked with his head lowered, aimlessly across a vast plain. The land ahead seemed to have no end, just like his current mood, weak and filled with sorrowful cries. I hate my lack of talent. I hate being a cultivator. I hate being a member of the Lightning Thunder Clan. The young man muttered, his face twisted with emotion. Engulfed in a whirlwind of emotions, the young man felt a sharp pain, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. With a grim smile, he collapsed to the ground, gazing up at the stormy sky, where lightning flickered ominously. The sorrow in his eyes deepened. I don't want to become a cultivator. I want to live a mundane life. His eyes began to blur, yet with an agonizing effort, he raised his right hand, staring blankly at his fingers. After a moment, madness flickered in his gaze. With the last of his strength, he fiercely clawed at the lightning sigil on his forehead, pulling it away. As flesh flew through the air, he managed to rip the Lightning Thunder Clan's mark from his brow. With a grim smile, his eyes gradually closed. At that instant, as his eyes shut, a bolt of lightning shattered the void, appearing in the sky as if sensing his existence. It paused momentarily, then rushed toward the wound on his brow. The injury on his forehead healed rapidly. Even the blood and flesh that were a mess on his body regenerated in a very short time. Particularly on his brow, a clear lightning sigil re-emerged, shimmering with a haunting glow. After a long while, the young man slowly opened his eyes. No trace of weakness or sorrow remained. Instead, his gaze was cold and weathered, as if he had seen through everything in the world, grasped the true meaning of life, and lived through countless years. A chilling aura emanated from him at the moment he opened his eyes. The grass beneath him trembled and fell, as if too afraid to stand before him. This body isn't bad. The young man sat up, turned his head, and stood up. A powerful cultivation flowed through him, and the energies of heaven and earth converged from all directions. But in the end, it remained at the original core formation stage, without undergoing any transformation or enhancement. He was Wang Lin. More accurately, he was a fragment of Wang Lin's essence spirit taking possession of another soul. His true body was still merged with the thunder pool in the boundless thunder region. Wang Lin was not naive enough to think he could single-handedly confront the entire Lightning Thunder clan, a prominent lineage of the ancient star of antiquity, known to have numerous powerful members. If Wang Lin charged in directly to absorb the eternal thunder, he would face the price of death. Thus, he had already devised a plan to possess the body of a member of the Lightning Thunder clan and absorb that indestructible thunder. Furthermore, by pretending to be part of the Lightning Thunder clan, he would leave no loopholes. After all, he himself was a master of thunder. Especially now, possessing the body of a person who had not yet fully died was infallible. In truth, Wang Lin effectively saved this man's life. Once he absorbed the indestructible thunder and left, the man would regain control over his body, and due to Wang Lin's duration of existence within him, the man would receive tremendous fortune. After stretching a bit, with Wang Lin's cultivation, he could overlook the limitations presented by the merging period of possession, and he didn't intend to truly take over. Searching through this body's memories, Wang Lin discovered that the person was Yu Fei, an exceedingly ordinary cultivator of the Lightning Thunder clan. Both of his parents had died early, leaving him alone. After barely achieving core formation, he inherited a cave mansion left to him by his parents. This cave mansion was situated beside a spirit vein, making it relatively good, but given his cultivation, he could not keep it for long. Just 3 days after acquiring the inheritance, someone forcefully took it from him and drove him away. For the next 200 years, his cultivation stagnated. If not for the innate vitality of the Lightning Thunder clan, he would have died long ago. However, these 200 years had been excruciating for him, marked by bullying from fellow clan members that drove him to despair. Recently, he had been relying on the power of a nascent soul cultivator within the clan, the same one who had taken his cave mansion years ago. This nascent soul cultivator made Yu Fei plant thunder fruits, which, when consumed by members of the Lightning Thunder clan, could unlock more of the clan's mark and even extend their lifespan. However, for the thunder fruit to mature, it required a cultivator of at least the core formation stage to nourish it with their thunder power at all times. Yu Fei was aware of his stagnated cultivation and impending death. Hesitant, he consumed 1 out of the 9 thunder fruits he had planted, only to bring calamity upon himself. Were it not for the taboo against deadly altercations among his clan members, he would have been wiped out long ago. Though he survived, he endured great humiliation, suffering severe injuries, and all his cultivation was drained as he was cast out by that nascent soul clansman. Yu Fei's memories were short and filled with negativity, accompanied by an overwhelming hatred. He hated himself, the Lightning Thunder clan, and all clan members. His personality had twisted as a result. Wang Lin's divine sense left Yu Fei's memories, and his gaze flickered slightly. Thunderfruit. Unlock more of the clan's mark. Upon arriving in the ancient star of antiquity, Wang Lin had absorbed numerous cultivators and grew familiar with the cultivation methods therein. The ancient stars of antiquity are completely different from the inner realm. They do not cultivate a sense of perception. All their cultivation is focused on the third eye mark. This mark is a legacy artifact, and the more it is activated, the higher their cultivation level becomes. Touching the lightning sigil on his third eye, Wang Lin felt that this mark, though similar to the one of the Lightning Thunder clan, was vastly different in essence. The Lightning Thunder clan's mark is derived from the eternal thunder, and if that thunder is likened to a living being, then every member of the Lightning Thunder clan has a branch of that being within their third eye mark. However, Wang Lin's third eye mark is one he created himself. In terms of level, it far surpasses that of the Lightning Thunder clan's mark and is on par with the eternal thunder itself. This thunder fruit, I need to study it. And as for the Lightning Thunder clan, Yu Fei, due to his cultivation, knows little about it. That nascent soul cultivator might know more. Wang Lin muttered to himself as he took a step forward, transforming into a long rainbow that sped toward the cave mansion in Yu Fei's memory. This cultivation star was vast. Wang Lin did not rush to use a teleportation technique, but instead flew while scanning the earth below. His divine sense subtly spread out as he observed his surroundings. Before long, 3 streaks of rainbow light appeared ahead of him, containing 1 man and 2 women. The man wore white robes and had a handsome appearance. The 2 women were also stunningly beautiful. The trio was riding flying swords, conversing and laughing as they flew. The man's cultivation seemed to be at the later stage of the core formation stage, while the 2 women were at the early stage. While talking, the man's gaze swept across and immediately noticed Wang Lin in the distance, especially when he saw that Wang Lin completely ignored him and flew past without even a glance. His brow furrowed. "Yu Fei, come here." Wang Lin ignored him, his divine sense still scanning the land below. He seemed to have sensed some hidden secrets about this cultivation star. As he continued forward, the man in white, seeing that Wang Lin was not responding, flicked his wrist. A flying sword, shimmering with lightning, emerged from his storage pouch, accompanied by a thunderous roar, charging toward Wang Lin. "Yu Fei, how dare you ignore me and not come to greet me?" The sword crackled with thunder, but just as it neared Wang Lin, it trembled and halted midair, shaking slightly. Wang Lin retracted his divine sense, turned around, and coldly glanced at the man in white. "Are you speaking to me?" A simple sentence anyone could say, but when it came from Wang Lin's lips, even though he currently looked like Yu Fei, his eyes radiated a cold light, like countless sharp ice swords sweeping through the world in an unstoppable storm. The young man in white, at the forefront of it all, felt his body tremble as if struck by thunder. His golden core trembled within him, and it seemed like his entire being was exposed to Wang Lin's gaze, leaving no secrets behind. The worst part was that his golden core had stopped functioning under Wang Lin's gaze, and cracks appeared on it, as though it was about to explode. Not just him, but the 2 women behind him, who had originally looked at Wang Lin with mockery, now felt as if the sky was collapsing, the winds reversing. In that moment, the usually timid Yu Fei seemed to transform into an ancient beast, emitting terrifying flames of ferocity. Just a thought from him would cause their instant deaths. The 3 of them were stunned, yet the world around them remained eerily quiet, a stillness that was unnervingly unnatural. The young man in white paled, his eyes unfocused, as terror spread across his face. Wang Lin frowned. With his cultivation, he truly had no interest in bullying these small fry from the outer realm. He withdrew his gaze and turned to leave. It wasn't until Wang Lin had been gone for some time that the young man in white spurted blood. The 2 women behind him also coughed up blood, their golden cores filled with cracks and starting to dissolve. The 2 women's faces turned pale as their cultivation plummeted, falling from the early stage of core formation to foundation establishment. As for the young man in white, his golden core shattered. His eyes, filled with horror and disbelief, stared at the spot where Wang Lin had disappeared. The 3 of them exchanged glances, unable to speak for a long time. The fear in their hearts suppressed any resentment, replaced by a feeling of surviving a catastrophe. Soon after, Wang Lin reached the cave mansion in Yu Fei's memory. It was indeed a fine place, nestled in a valley next to a spirit vein. As Wang Lin looked closer, he noticed a small river in the valley. The river flowed from the spirit vein, its water crystal clear, exuding a faint aura of spiritual energy. Outside the cave mansion, a few restriction arrays offered some protection, but in Wang Lin's eyes, they were simply far too weak. His expression calm, hands clasped behind his back, He stepped forward and walked straight into the formation surrounding the cave. As he approached the mountain gate, the massive stone door rumbled open on its own, without him displaying even a hint of divine art. Without pausing, Wang Lin entered the cave mansion. As he moved deeper inside, thunderous roars erupted around him, and brilliant, multicolored lights flared violently. The countless restriction arrays within had all activated the moment he stepped in. Yet Wang Lin didn't so much as glance at them. He simply walked through the chaos, step by step. Just over 10 zhang ahead, an old man in green robes sat cross-legged. As he saw Wang Lin approach, his eyes widened in shock. Staring blankly, his pupils flooded with overwhelming